The fault. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream. Change has come to America.
Believe it.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show.
Turn up your mind.
Andrew McCabe told 60 Minutes he launched those two investigations just one day after President Trump fired James Comey, in part to find out if the president was trying to undermine the ongoing Russia investigation. And McCabe said if the FBI hadn't taken that action, it would not have been doing its job. Andrew McCabe said the days after President Trump fired former FBI Director James Comey were chaotic and confusing. As he and Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein discussed the president's motivations, Rosenstein made an extraordinary suggestion.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Did you see that? Happy President's Day, everybody. Please clap. No, it's President's Day, which feels kind of. Listen, I don't think most Americans ever really celebrated President. Did you ever celebrate President? I mean, there's mattress sales and things like that there, right? But, this president ruined even that because I can't look at a mattress without thinking about Russian prostitutes and, Can you? Can you? Seriously, can you? No. So, it's like trying to enjoy Christmas when you find out that Santa is a racist. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like with Donald Trump as president. Who celebrate? I mean, not that we ever threw down or anything, but you go take the day off kind of a thing. Maybe, but no. This is like, I don't know. It's like, it feels like Valentine's Day if you were in like the world's worst, most miserable relationship. Do you know what I'm saying? Can we break up now, me and Trump? Could we please? Just do something. I mean, McCabe, obviously, that 60 Minutes, that was amazing. And then, if you did what I did, if your viewing habits are anything like mine, then you watched this McCabe thing on the 60 Minutes, and then you watched the PBS How to Become a Dictator. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, oh, my God, it's all clear now. I get it. And, it's so interesting because dictators, they're all different. I mean, their personalities are different, but they all do the same three things. They create a cult of personality around themselves, declare that only they can fix your lot in life. They protect the uber rich, the elites among them, and they tell the elites, look, you want to hang on to what you got? Support me. And they all agree to do it. All the elites, they agree to do it. Why? Because they know what they have to do to keep all their stuff. Meanwhile, the peasants, us out here, we have all these ideas about what we should do. Should we impeach him and should we jail him and should we, what is it that we should do? 25th Amendment and, wiretap him and wear a wire and we'll do this and we'll do. Oh, my God. And that's why, the elite are so unified around the, I don't want to even say strong man, around the dictator. They're around the autocrat because they know after all these years of inheriting, largesse, one generation after another generation, that they have to do one thing and one thing only to protect all their money. And that is whatever strong man steps up to the microphone, just say you're with them. Because if not, let's use Vlad as an example, shall we? Let's just say that if you don't support the the dictator, if you don't support the strongman, if you don't support the oligarch, if you don't support the plutocrat, if you don't support whatever, right? Then you lose all your stuff. He makes an example of you. He takes the richest guy who doesn't support him. He puts the richest guy who doesn't support him in the jail. He sends cameras in to take a photograph of the guy suffering in the cage, puts it out on his media, which he's already decided, is either fake news if it's against him, or, the only newspaper that's allowed if you're with him, and puts that and every elite goes, you know what, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. He'll come and go. My fortune is forever. Do you know what I'm saying? This is what happens. And then all of us people out here who are like, oh my God, I just did my taxes last year. I got $7,500 back. This year I owe $400. How is that possible? Where was I when he was passing the net tax? Oh my God, it's the biggest vehicle for the transfer of wealth ever. And it happened to me. And I thought I made $75,000 a year. Would not happen to me. Yeah, it just happened to you. I'm looking all over Twitter. It's unbelievable. People are just freaked out about this tax scam. And so people are like of different minds about what to do about it. Some people, well, we should vote him out. Let democracy play. Other people, let's impeach him. Other people, well, by the time he's impeached, he will already have, served his term. So let's just look at maybe primary him, right? I mean, and it's so amazing. But you see that dictators, autocrats, oligarchs, they have the same three tactics. Okay, they appeal to the elites. They get the elites to back them up. They say the media is fake if the media doesn't support them, and they either get rid of the non-supported media, a la, take away Acosta's press pass, and you have to sue, because this is a real democracy, but, and violate, the Constitution and make Congress or the Duma or the Reichstag or whatever your parliament is, make them worthless. Make whatever they control, take that away from them. And that's what we're in the middle of a national emergency, where he's taking the power of the purse, which is the most awesome power that Congress has, and taking it unto himself. So we have like the worst person on President's Day to be president of the United States. I mean, he ruined mattress sales forever, and he's like the worst president since Sorry. Yeah. That party puts the worst people, they're just the absolute worst. I don't know if you saw the McCabe. This is unbelievable. This actually made me, just like made my skin crawl. I don't know how else to say it. This shocked me. This really rattled me. Of all the things we know he did, we saw him in Helsinki. We heard Vlad say, Vlad was asked a direct question. Did you intervene in the American election, and did you do things because you wanted Donald Trump to win? And his answer was clear. It was, yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Found in an appropriate
did you want
legal
President
framework.
Trump to win the election? And did you direct any of your officials to help him do that?
Да, я хотел, чтобы он выиграл.
Yes, I did.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Because he talked about bringing the U.S.-Russia relationship back to normal.
I mean, he said he did it. But Trump said he didn't do it, and he told him he didn't do it strongly, forcefully, powerfully.
Would you now, with the whole world watching, tell President Putin, would you denounce what happened in 2016, and would you warn him to never do it again?
All I can do is ask the question.
That's all you can do?
People came to me, Dan Coates came to me,
Your
and some others. They said they think it's Russia. I have President Putin. He just said it's not Russia. I will say this. I don't see any reason why it would be. I will tell you that President Putin was extremely strong and powerful in his denial today. And what he did is an incredible offer. He offered to have the people working on the case come and work with their investigators with respect to the 12 people. I think that's an incredible offer.
You're a moron. Holy crap. So he wanted to send McCabe and Comey, and he wanted to send, Mueller over to Russia to share the info. All right, here's the part last night. This gave me the ooty gots. You know what the ooty gots is? It's like when your stomach flips when you see like a palmetto bug or a cockroach, right? Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. I don't care. I believe that's not collusion, everybody. That's submission. That is amalgamation. That is not only the President of the United States, trashing, Dan Coates in public, and trashing, Brennan, and trashing our entire, apparatus of intelligence gathering with regard to the that's actually Donald Trump becoming a Russian. That is actually a traitor. That is somebody who is not loyal to the United States of America. That is somebody who is not going to faithfully execute the laws. That is listen. You could have your opinion. This is the strangest place to be a progressive. Okay, this intersection of the intelligence community and the FBI are going to save us, right? And Donald Trump. That is a weird place to be. That is a very strange intersection. But because Donald Trump lies so often and so obviously and, so transparently, the only thing transparent about him is the lies, you kind of have to go with the intelligence agencies and law enforcement at this point. But what a strange place to be. Now, you could say our intelligence agencies got it wrong in Iraq, or you can say what I say, and that is that the Bush administration cherry-picked the pieces of intelligence that it enjoyed while it was making its case to attack a country that was unarmed, that was no threat to us, based on intelligence that they cherry-picked. So what a weird position to be in. But I got to tell you, when the president sounds like, looks like, walks like, talks like Vladimir Putin, when the president actually becomes a Russian, when the president shows you he is an oligarch, an autocrat, when the president shows you he doesn't give a rat's ass about democracy, that he will steal the power of Congress to reprogram the money, you know you're up the creek without a paddle. It's crunch time.
At RandiRhodes.com.
Go for launch.
Speaking truth to power, the Randi Rhodes Show.
I'm not sure what the political calculus is, what's driving the fear. It's probably around being primaried, but I don't think they're looking towards the general election. But you've interviewed on this show the authors of How Democracies Die. And one of the claims of that book isn't just simply about the autocrat or the figure who emerges, who comes and undermines norms. It's about the complicity of elites, political elites, in allowing for those norms and those institutions to be eroded. And so what we see here in this crisis, in interesting sorts of ways, is the leadership of the Republican Party and even those backbenchers supporting Trump's constitutional overreach. And in this way, I think this is really important for us to say. What we're seeing here is the imperial presidency gone amok. Many of us have been complaining over the years about the expansion of executive power. We wondered and we worried that if you had a person who occupied the office, who had no ethical backbone, who wasn't committed to constitutional principles, what they would do if they had access to that kind of power. And now we're here. And so what we have is a president who's pursuing a policy that's basically racist, in my view, who's engaged in a constitutional overreach in order to pursue that racist policy. And we have elites in Congress, particularly the Republican Party, who are signing off on it.
And that's what it takes if you're going to be a dictator. And, watching that PBS series, I mean, it's the most amazing series ever. Because it's one dictator after another. I mean, they do Kim Il-sung, and they do Manuel Noriega, who is relevant again because of the Panama thing is now the Venezuela thing. It's just the same damn story over and over. It's create a cult of personality. Get the loyalty of the military. The elites, of course, will buy in because you're enriching them and you're protecting their money and their fortunes and their property from the rabble rousers, the progressives, the peasants, the unwashed masses, and of course, you got to get the military to go along with you. And the president is going to the military and giving out MAGA hats. I mean, this is a very sick thing that we're watching right now. And you watch these, these experts on how democracies die, or you watch these, documentaries on how dictators make their rise to power. I mean, we've all watched the military channel, but they only concentrated on one fascist, one little, pathetic fascist who killed more people than any of them. And we've become obsessed with Adolf's story, and everybody is forgetting Franco's story, and they're forgetting the Kim family story, which the president loves the Kim family. These are the sickest mofos to come down the pike. 70 years they have cast their spell on the people of North Korea. Oh, by the way, there was an article in the, I think it was the Washington Post or the New York Times. Do you know that the North Koreans are like hopelessly addicted to crystal meth? Did you know that? Oh my God. That seems to be the drug of choice for the dictator. Do you know? It really does. I mean, Adolf swore by it because the military never slept. And apparently Kim does it. He gets his people nice and addicted to the crystal meth, and they're it's like illegal, but everybody looks the other. It's so sick. It's so twisted, and we're going down this freaking road. And the big question is why the Republicans go along with it. Why do they go along with it? And we have surmised that they're dirty too. We have surmised that they've been to Russia and they've gotten the NRA's money, and the NRA was laundering money. It's all part of the same story. It's all part of the same damn story. It's money laundering. I mean, Noriega went to the School of the Americas. That seems to be the school for dictators around the world. It's hard to find a dictator who wasn't in the military. It's hard to find a dictator who was, somehow denied his chance in the military, or denied a promotion in the military, or just felt scorned. They all feel scorned. They're all bullies. They're all the same, profile, except they're all different. They're all different. But they do the same damn thing, and the elites do the same damn thing over and over and over. And of course, this tax bill was part of it. This tax bill that everybody's looking at their tax returns now, and everybody's going, oh my God, they took away $30,000 worth of deductions from me. I used to be able to write down property tax or state and local tax or, mortgage interest. I lost all my deductions. Meanwhile, they're paying 21% less. I'm paying 21% more. How the hell did this happen? Because this is how you win over the elites. This is how you get their loyalty. This is how they'll just shut up about it while we all suffer. This is how, the CEOs, they're making, they used to make 44 times what the person on the line made. Now you're talking some companies like 2,000 times what a person on the line makes. I mean, McDonald's is one of those, and Home Depot is one of those. It's just so sad and sick, and that's why they go along. It's funny. They are demeaning every single Democrat now as we see this embarrassment of riches that we possess in our party. I mean, there's almost something for everybody so far in our party, and we're not even done with people throwing their hat in the ring. Probably this week we'll hear from Biden, 95% chance he's going to run. You got Kamala Harris, you got Cory Booker, you got Elizabeth Warren, you've got Amy Klobuchar. That is the most beautiful scene. And of course, Trump knew that, so he had to tweet against her and say she looked like a snowman. No, she looked like an American. She looked like a pioneer woman. That was just so strong. In the snowstorm like that in Minnesota. I mean, it was just an amazing moment in time, no matter what happens with her candidacy. That was a beautiful moment. And it's dreamy, like you're in a snow globe. I mean, it was just perfect. It was just, we have so many decent people running because the party decided to not pick and choose for us. Probably Bernie's going to throw his hat in the ring this week. It's an embarrassment of riches. So what are they going to do? They've already started early and often saying we're either baby killers, we're baby killers. Oh my God, stop with the baby killer. We don't have this love affair with a petri dish. We actually love babies, toddlers, young kids. We like tweens. Teenagers, not so much. It's the lying years. It's the most impossible portion of your parental unit's life. Why? The caught between the worlds phase where half of them want to be babied and the other half of them want to do everything that you do, but they don't know what you know, and so they make like an enormous mistake and they end up drunk on the bathroom floor with vomit all over. And then you say, why did you do that? I didn't have anything to drink. Right to your face. The dog lifts its leg, it's peeing on the carpet. Why didn't you walk the dog? I did walk the dog. Oh, God! But other than that, we love the children. They hate children. They hate them. Especially children of the unwashed masses. They don't want to educate them. They don't want to vaccinate them. They don't want to, do anything for them. But we're baby killers. Okay, that's what we are. Why? Because a woman should be able to live another day. If a pregnancy at this point in time will kill her. Because if a non-viable a baby is delivered and the baby can't survive, we want to talk to the doctor about the prognosis. We want to talk to the doctor about available treatment. We want to believe that science is more than an art. And we want to believe that we have insurance coverage that will let us pursue whatever it takes. And they just keep on hacking away at our ability to make informed decisions. Because all they love is the freaking fetus, a little tiny fetus. That's it. That after that, it's like, you're on your own. Pull yourself up by your booties. Your little booties. They don't care. They don't care about anything to do with children. They don't care to protect them. They separate them from their parents at the border, for God's sake. That's like right out of an autocrat's playbook. That's right out of what every single autocrat, dictator, oligarch, whatever you want to call them, has done in the past. To send a message to the people: you will suffer if you go up against me. You will suffer. You will die. Your children will be taken away. Whatever it takes. I don't care, because I am a soulless person. I am an empty vessel of a human. I don't have compassion. I don't have empathy. I don't have a moral compass. I only do what's good for me. That's what they all had in common. Disappointed by what their country provided for them. In Donald Trump's case, it's 1 million bankruptcies and 1 million lawsuits where he had to pay fines and frauds and this and got caught paying off mistresses. And he hates the legal system. He hates democracy. He hates law. He hates it. So he seeks to destroy it. And every one of these dictators had something they hated that happened to them. And they thought that they would change their country to make their country suitable for them. It's just the common denominator. Yes, they've all had different slights. In Trump's case, it is $25 million fraud fines, that he had to pay to those students for his fraudulent university, and bankruptcies galore. 6 of them. I mean, just crazy stuff. And this hereditary thing with, your children, and you got to pass it down to your children. It's like, this is why he loves the Kim family. The Kim family is the only dictatorship in the world that ever figured out that your children could be deified to the public enough that you could have a dictatorship that passed from generation to generation. They are the only family that ever accomplished it. And that's why he loves Kim Jong-un. That's why he loves the Kim family, because they figured out a hereditary dictatorship. Very sick, very sad. This is a very strange time in American history. I have never seen us so close to losing it all, really. And, he's given a speech today about Venezuela. Venezuela. Why? Because in Venezuela, you got to convince the military not to support Maduro, or Maduro will order the murder of innocent Venezuelans in order to retain power. It's the same story over and over again, right? And so now the United States is going to intervene, which is a big-ass mistake. The United States is going to intervene. The United States is going to tell the military that if they don't support this guy that declared himself the president, because we prefer him, then the quote that the president is going to say today is that the Venezuelans have a choice to move toward democracy or lose everything. Lose everything. Now, the last time that we had an unconstitutional, non-declared, prohibited by Congress specifically, intervention in a Latin American country, it was multiple countries. It wasn't just our country. It was Nicaragua, El Salvador, and Honduras. It was the Iran-Contra thing. And the dictator that made it all possible for the United States to launder all the money by selling missiles to the Iranian mullahs and laundering the money through Saudi Arabia and the Sultan of Brunei was Oliver North and Manuel Noriega. He was our CIA asset. The CIA literally paid that man to kill his own people. Literally did. so that they could launder all this money and intervene in freaking Central America to the point where this crisis, this national emergency on the border, which we don't have, but it's still the price that the people in those countries pay for American intervention, in contradiction to something called the Boland Amendment. Congress specifically said no intervention in Central America. And Ronald Reagan didn't give a rat's ass, and he did exactly what Trump is doing with this national emergency, where he's going to, listen, Reagan, laundered money. He literally laundered the money. But Trump is trying to say he'll take it. He'll just take it. And I don't think people appreciate where we are. I'm not sure that everybody does, because this is really, really the most enabling I've ever seen our Congress. I've never seen an enabling act like this one, where you got the freedom crackers, did you see Lindsey Graham over the weekend? Oh my God. Lindsey Graham first of all, okay, before he was played the clip of McCabe on 60 Minutes, saying that the president prefers Putin's intelligence over the intelligence, just denigrating the work of people who literally protect the United States every day to the best of their ability, whether or not the president of the United States or the Secretary of Defense or Dick Cheney, the vice president of the United States, also the Secretary of Defense under Ronald Reagan, who is an animal, an absolute animal. Whether or not those people distort it or use it or cherry pick it for their own purposes, the intelligence community has no say over what they do with the product that's given them, right? But after, the president actually said he believes Putin because Putin is his intelligence, Lindsey Graham said that the kids in our schools, they were asking about, the money being reprogrammed out of, school building and military base housing and all those things that we showed you last week. And he said, you know what? The kids in Kentucky are better off without schools if they're safe. And the only way they'll be safe is to have a border wall. This is what I'm talking about with the elites. Bending themselves into every single position in the Kama Sutra, twisting themselves into pretzels, playing Twister on the TV live. Right foot green, left foot blue, and Trump is spinning the wheel. Going along with it. The elites that do this, they're just as guilty as the freaking autocrat. He did it. He actually said kids are better off with a wall, not with new schools.
In terms of getting those funds, though, through this emergency action, there's about $3.6 billion of it that could come from military construction efforts, including construction of a middle school in Kentucky, housing for military families, improvements for bases like Camp Pendleton and Hanscom Air Force Base. Aren't you concerned that some of these projects that were part of legislation that you helped approve in Congress are now going to possibly be cut out?
Well, the president will have to make a decision where to get the money. Let's just say for a moment that he took some money out of the military construction budget. I would say it's better for the middle school kids in Kentucky to have a secure border. We'll get them the school they need, but right now we got a national emergency on our hands.
What the? Really? If that didn't move you to what the kids in Kentucky are better off with a wall than they are schools. The military housing, they're better off with a wall than they are with termite-free, rodent-free, mold-free housing. I played you the testimony that was given in a Senate hearing where no one showed up to hear the testimony. And these military families were brought to tears explaining that a rodent, a rat, was chewing on their baby's pacifier. That the ceiling was falling down around them because of the black mold, that their children were playing in a utility room, which is their playroom, and the utility room was full of black mold, and that the mold remediation person that showed up told them, let it fall off the walls. That's how you'll get rid of it. Let it fall off the walls. And that their children, which they don't care about, were suffering with asthma and respiratory diseases, cancer clusters. What the F, man? They're better off with a wall?
To speak to Randi, call 561-270-3844. 561-270-3844.
I'm here today on behalf of military families of every branch and rank. We ask that you act on our testimony and ensure military families receive safe, habitable, and functional housing and a better, more accountable way to resolve problems that arise. I first became aware of the crisis-level military housing issues at Keesler Air Force Base, where termites fell out of light fixtures into our beds. During my 2 years of research and advocacy, I received hundreds of reports from military families of mold growth, rodent and pest infestations, moisture intrusion, lead and asbestos exposures, radon concerns, base contamination, and cancer clusters in their housing. I have felt the helplessness of a fellow Marine Corps spouse as she held her new baby and sobbed while we stood under a collapsing, moldy ceiling in her home at Camp Lejeune. I listened in horror as families at Camp Pendleton told of mice eating through pacifiers in their babies' cribs and electrical outlets catching fire due to wiring issues. Until recent media reports in today's hearing, our efforts to fight for safe housing were too often met with intimidation, personal attacks, and strategic attempts to discredit us and silence our voices. We are appalled by this response. Military families understand that quality housing does not mean entitlement to elegant mansions. We simply ask for homes free of mold, pest, lead, and other hazards.
Mold was growing out of the wall of our shower. When Corvius Maintenance came to address our work order for this, they told us, and this is a direct quote, "Let the mold just fall out." The utility room in our house was also my children's playroom where they played daily. In the utility room, I moved their small card table that was leaning up against the wall. The wall was solid black. The symptoms we had included constant sore throats, nosebleeds, brain fog, blurred vision, numbness, fatigue, debilitating headaches. Even the 4-year-olds complained daily of these headaches along with dizziness. Knowing headaches are not normal for a child of that age, I was concerned they may have cancer.
Yeah, he loves the troops. All the Republicans, they love us. They love the troops. They love their veterans. They love us. Yeah, and they love babies too, right? They love babies. What do they love more than babies? The military, right? They love the military. But it's nice to know that nothing's changed in the military since I served. You know, you like a consistent military that intimidates people who tell the truth about the circumstances under which they serve. You know, I'm so glad that the base commanders and the colonels and the squadron leaders and all this stuff, that they haven't changed in 40 years. I love consistency. It's just so reliable. And he's going to take money out of the military construction budget so that he can build his stupid wall. And idiot boy Lindsey Graham, kids are better off with a wall than they are with schools.
In terms of getting those funds, though, through this emergency action, there's about $3.6 billion of it that could come from military construction efforts. Including construction of a middle school in Kentucky, housing for military families, improvements for bases like Camp Pendleton and Hanscom Air Force Base. Aren't you concerned that some of these projects that were part of legislation that you helped approve in Congress are now going to possibly be cut out?
Well, the president will have to make a decision where to get the money. Let's just say for a moment that he took some money out of the military construction budget.
Yeah, let's say.
I would say it's better for the middle school kids in Kentucky to have a secure border. We'll get them the school they need.
When?
But right now, we got a national emergency on our hands. Opioid addiction is going through the roof in this country. Thousands of Americans died last year and dying this year because we can't control the flow of drugs into this country, and all of it's coming across the border. So
through
the
ports
dangers
of entry,
presented by a broken border, to
Customs
me,
and Border Patrol, though. But
both. It's both. It's not just one. For every one we get, God knows how much we miss.
You're insane. You know that? You're insane. These freaking cartels are billion-dollar businesses. And if you're saying that you don't know who owns these billion-dollar businesses, you're full of crap. Because a lot of the people that own these businesses are our dictators. They're our man in Colombia, or they're our man in Panama, or they're our man in Venezuela, or they're our man in freaking Honduras. So they're please give me a break. The amount of weapons that go into those countries that they don't have in their countries, but somehow, just appear in their countries is really pretty legendary. The drugs come through the port of entry. You have hacked away at Obamacare, so much so that people don't have the ability to pay for rehabilitation when they've hit rock bottom or when they know it's time or I'll die. You have taken away the choice to live. You know, this is just so insane. They're just the craziest mofos ever. And why? Because they know that if they peel off of the Trump train or the whatever you want to call that thing, then they will be a target. Trump will make an example of them. And they're terrified. They're cowards. They're lily-livered cowards. They're lamos, man. They don't have the conviction or the courage it takes to lead or represent their state, their district, whatever it is. It's so sad. It's so amazing how corrupt this government has become. You thought we had corruption when, W cherry-picked, aluminum tubes and said, and Colin Powell sullied his reputation and sat at the United Nations holding up a little vial and said, this is anthrax, and we got weapons of mass destruction, and blah, 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 and we deployed to freaking Iraq, and it turned out they were unarmed. You thought we had problems? Well, you haven't seen nothing yet. The president's going to deploy the military inside the country. He already has. You haven't seen jack crap. You don't know what it's like. You watch the military channel or you watch these documentaries and you think, oh, that only happens over there. But over there is over here now. Because we're infested with this dictator, this autocrat, this loser, this wannabe, never will be. This has been, never was. Such a sad, sad situation. And you could tell as you hear the elites, as you hear them line up one after another supporting him, that they don't want to be the one who's made the example of. They don't want to be Khodorkovsky in Russia. They don't want to be, some rich guy in Spain. They don't want to be, some rich guy in Italy that went against Mussolini. They don't want to be some guy in Panama who had it all, but just said that there's something wrong with Noriega's a pineapple face. They don't want to be that guy. Because dictators always make an example of somebody who was loyal and then turned on them because they couldn't take the amount of pain and abuse that was inflicted on their country. And Lindsey Graham certainly ain't going to be that guy. He is disgusting. They are grotesque. They are literally violent. They're just violative. They're pathetic. What do you mean? Oh. No, that's Fox News is sitting there saying there's a coup. It's a coup. Everything is a coup. To undo an autocrat, to undo a dictator, it has to be a coup. We have to be involved in a coup. McCabe was involved in a coup. James Comey was involved in a coup. It was all, I don't know if you saw the 60 Minutes. Did you see Jill McCabe, Andrew McCabe's wife? She's a pediatric emergency physician, a pediatric emergency room physician who decided to try and help her community by running for the state legislature in 2015. That was over in 2015, and she went back to be a pediatric emergency room doctor. She never knew the Clintons. She never met the Clintons. She had no idea what the hell Donald Trump was talking about with Andy McCabe and the Clintons. She was done trying to run for her state legislature as a pediatric physician, emergency room physician in 2015, and the Clinton email investigation hadn't even begun yet. It's ridiculous. They are lying sacks of crap. And Lindsey Graham is a coward.
A discussion of the 25th Amendment was simply Rod raised the issue and discussed it with me in the context of thinking about how many other cabinet officials might support.
Asked Rod Rosenstein if, in fact, that conversation happened.
Well, he's publicly denied it, but the whole point of Congress existing is to provide oversight of the executive branch. So through good reporting by 60 Minutes, there's an allegation by the acting FBI director at the time that the Deputy Attorney General was basically trying to do an administrative coup, take the president down through the 25th Amendment process. The Deputy Attorney General denies it, so I promise your viewers the following, that we will have a hearing about who's telling the truth, what actually happened. Mr. Cabe, you remember, was dismissed from the FBI for leaking information to the press, so you got to remember the source here.
You are a vile, spineless ferret. And that's an insult to spineless ferrets because they're adorable. That is so typical of what goes on at the tippy top when you have an insane man in charge of the most awesome military in the world, in charge of the richest nation in the world's treasury, the dollars, okay? And you're allowing him to reprogram that money away from middle schools in Kentucky, military base housing, which is just... it's full of lead and asbestos and mold and faulty wiring and rodents and termites falling from the ceiling. But we need a stinking wall so the president can win in 2020. Oh, my God. Oh, my God, Lindsay, you better have those freaking hearings. You better have them. And you better call McCabe. And you better call Comey back. And you better call Rod. Because Rod put out some really parsed statement over the weekend saying he never authorized a wiretap. Well, we know that because we know that the counsel at the Justice Department said we weren't there yet. So we know it wasn't authorized. Oh, my God. This is getting so out of control, so off the rails. You know, if you think that you're struggling now, just wait, man. Just do your taxes. Do your taxes. Have a look-see. Experience it up close and personal on your own kitchen table at your own household. Go ahead. Run the numbers. Find out how much you were ripped up so that he could transfer the wealth to the elites who would be eternally grateful and back him through whatever the hell he does, including deploy the military within the United States of America. You want to know what it looks like? This is what it starts like. I told you. You watch for an enabling act. You watch for... I thought he was too lazy. But apparently he's got his henchmen doing the dirty work, so he's playing golf. Today is day 3 of golf during the national emergency. They have no shame.
Mary had a little man.
The fault. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Believe me. Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show. Turn up your mind.
The president talks about an invasion, used that word multiple times on Friday, an invasion on the southern border. But let's look at the facts. I want to put them up on the screen. 1.6 million people were stopped crossing the border illegally back in 2000. Less than a quarter that many were caught last year. The government's own numbers show, for all the presidents talk about drugs streaming over the border, 80 to 90% of the cocaine, heroin, and fentanyl seized at the border is seized at ports of entry, not along unfenced areas. And in 2017, twice as many of the new people in the country illegally were from visa overstays as were from crossing the border. Again, where's the emergency, the national emergency to build a wall?
There's a lot of data you just presented there, so I'd like to go through it each one piece at a time if I could. So let's start with your point about the border crossings in the year 2000.
Yeah.
Well, as you know, when George Bush came into office, illegal immigration total doubled from 6 million to 12 million by the time he left office.
What?
That represented an astonishing betrayal of the American people. And I'm not going to sit here today and tell you that George Bush defended this country on the southern border, because he did not. One of the biggest changes that's happened since then and now is the mass release of illegal aliens due to a patchwork network of court rulings and loopholes in our federal laws and changing tactics from smugglers and transnational organizations.
I don't want to go into all of this, but I mean, let's just focus on that one issue. 4 times as many people were coming across the border in 2000 as now. So why is that a national emergency?
Back then, 95% could be turned around in a matter of days.
Wait, you can't have both.
Loopholes, activist judicial rulings, and increasing sophistication from cartels. The reality is that more than half of people crossing the border are what we call non-impactable. They can't be turned around. And so what you see is sophisticated operations and smugglers will actually push out migrants and children and family units to divert border agents. And then because there's not secured areas with the wall, they'll then cross after the border agents have been diverted to those areas.
He just makes up behavior that the Border Patrol is being like, diverted. Like, oh, look, there's a puppy. Oh, let's pet the puppy. And, the trucks just drive through. This man just makes up weird border behavior to stay with this president's ridiculous fake emergency. Obviously, this emergency is fake. The president is golfing for the 3rd straight day after declaring a national emergency. And I got news for you. If you're trying to avoid undocumented immigrants, a Trump golf course is not the place you want to be because that's where everybody is. Holy crap. That's where all the managers at the Trump golf courses help the undocumented get fake documents that are more realistic. They actually help them. They drove them to get the fake. This is just, it's upside. It's Jabberwocky, man. It's Lewis Carroll on massive doses of acid. I've never heard anything as bizarre as Stephen Miller on Fox News presented with actual numbers. 80 to 90% of all the drugs come through the legal ports of entry. Oh no, that's not true. They divert the agents. Like a family will come over and they divert all the agents. The agents go, oh, look how cute this family is. Look how cute they are. Oh, look, let's play. And the trucks just, drive through. What the hell is wrong with these people? Everything he said was a lie. Every single thing. Oh, at first he says George W. Bush doubled the number of illegals in this country from 6 million to 12 million. And then in the same breath, he said, the reason why we can't deal with immigration now is because back then you could turn people around. And now you can't turn people around, even though we've apprehended 496,000 people at the border in 2018 alone. And the people who are coming here who can't be turned around are coming here legally, asking for asylum. They conflate and confuse you with this ridiculous crap in order to have a fake freaking emergency. Look, the drug industry. They have been flying drugs into this country since the damn 70s. You had marijuana smugglers that made millions of dollars that needed their money laundered, and that's what Manuel Noriega was there for. Now they tunnel it through, and those tunnels are built by logistics engineers, okay? They're built with air filtration systems and trains in them. What is wrong with these people? I mean, it's like Steve King, the racist, Oh, they're carrying 75 pounds of marijuana so their calves look like the size of cantaloupes. What's wrong with you? And why do people believe this swill? Why do people think that they would trust this billion-dollar industry, which, by the way, if we made it all legal, like marijuana, it would all go away. Every time you make something that there is a large demand for illegal, you get a criminal underground. You get an entire mafia. You get an entire crime organization. You get crime families and criminal organizations and money laundering, and the elite look the other way because they're greased and paid off, and then they go about protecting each other while people are literally dying. Jesus Christ. Marijuana is practically legal everywhere in this country, and you just don't see smugglers engaged in it. It's such a stupid, stupid thing, prohibition. It never worked. It never will work. It's crazy, man. These are nuts. These are nutty, stupid, racist people. He just makes up border behavior.
You cannot conceive of a nation without a strong, secure border. It is fundamental and essential to the idea of sovereignty and national survival to have control over who enters and doesn't enter the country.
You know, the European Union does not have borders. You understand that? You can move freely about the European, Union. You could go from, and I'm pretty sure this is, like what they do, so that they don't want to be, they don't want their passport stamped that they entered, Czechoslovakia, or the Czech Republic, if you will. So they'll go to Italy and take a train. Do you know what I'm saying? You don't need to go through it. There's just nothing. There's no border in Europe. You go from Italy to Switzerland, and then you can go from Italy to Spain and to France. You can go anywhere you damn well want. What is this? If you don't have border, then that means that the whole northern part of the United States is not a country. Because there ain't no border up there. Where's the border with Montreal, Toronto, or British Columbia? I mean, what are they? They just make this crap up. You show me a country. Okay, I'll show you many countries. Lying sack. Racist pig.
And we can get into the statistics. You want to talk about drugs? There's been a huge increase in drug deaths since George W. Bush and Barack Obama were in office.
I understand that, but 80 to 90% of those drugs that are being seized don't come across in unfenced areas. They come from ports of entry. Those are your own Customs and Border Patrol numbers.
Which is the reason why we also asked for additional resources at the ports of entry. But Chris,
what you got?
But Chris, the problem with the statement that you're apprehending 80 or 90% of drugs at ports of entry is that's like saying you apprehend most contraband at TSA checkpoints at airports. You apprehend the contraband there because that's where you have the people, that's where you have the screeners. I assure you, if we had people of that same density and screeners of that same density across every single inch and mile of the southern border, you would have more drugs interdicted in those areas. You don't know what you don't know, and you don't catch what you don't catch.
You are a lying sack of crap. 80 to 90% of the drugs that we get, even this little fentanyl, this big fentanyl bust that just happened, was a truck. It was a truck. And they pulled it over for a second screen. Maybe every truck needs a second screening. Oh, but that would affect commerce, wouldn't it? Can't have that now, can we? That was a truck full of cucumbers, is what that was. Port of entry. I mean, this is just, you want to talk about why there's so much addiction in this country? I'll give you two reasons. One, despair. Income inequality is pervasive and growing in this country. Number two, big freaking pharma. Those oxys, they were fabulous. They were just so good at their job of getting people addicted in just under 7 days. Man, oh man. That's like, you remember when I was growing up, they used to say, never try heroin. Never try it. Because one time and you're addicted. That was the truth. So I never tried it. But anybody who has, they're still chasing that dragon. They're still, I want that full body high. I want that. And the cravings. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. 5 years sober, I've talked to people. 5 years down the line, 7 years down the line, 11 years down the line. They go, every once in a while. But then they tell me, after a while, the thought of it makes you nauseous. Yay. Yay, one day at a time, everybody. Hope you can get to that day when the thought of black tar or China white makes you nauseous. Go with God, everybody. Go with God. These are some sick freaks. Big Pharma, the Purdue family. We did a whole story on how they turned that particular addiction into billions of dollars. Billions. And then they looked the other way. Oh, America's gotten so much more addicted. I don't know how how did that happen? When your doctor won't write another script and you can't steal another oxy from your mother, that's when you go to the street. Jesus, they act like it's some sort of big mystery to them. These people couldn't think their way out of a freaking paper bag. This man is so blinded by racism that there's nothing you could tell him. Not any fact that he won't sit there and dispute. Because he hates brown people. You can show him that 696,000 undocumented people right now in this country are here because they overstayed their visa, and most of them are Canadian. And he couldn't care less.
But as a matter of national security, you cannot have uncontrolled, unsecured areas of the border where people can pour in undetected.
Where are they pouring?
One more point. I guarantee you this. If Donald Trump had said he's invoking the National Emergency Military Construction Authority to build a security perimeter in Iraq or Afghanistan or around a military installation in Syria, there would not have been one word of objection from Congress.
Those are active war zones. Are you saying that Arizona and McAllen, Texas, and El Paso and Nogales and Calexico are war zones, you freak? Now, I have to tell you, the president today is considering firing the director of national intelligence because he doesn't like the numbers that don't back up his national emergency argument. He doesn't like the fact that Russia has been proven and that 23 indictments went out to Russian intelligence operatives, and that Mueller now has new evidence that Roger Stone communicated with Russian intelligence and WikiLeaks. This thing is choking him off, okay? Law in this country is going to punish him, and so he's going to get rid of the law and the intelligence.
This is the Randi Rhodes Show. To speak with Randi, dial 561-270-3844. That's 561-270-3844.
I want to ask you about the president's decision to declare a national emergency on the border. You called the decision, quote, plainly unconstitutional. But the law does give the president broad discretion on when to invoke these statutes, and Congress has never really defined what a national emergency is. So why is it unconstitutional?
Well, because this is the first time a president has tried to declare an emergency when Congress explicitly rejected funding for the particular project that the president is advocating. And in saying just the other day that he didn't really need to do this. He just wanted to do it because it would help things go faster. He's pretty much daring the court to strike this down. So it's hard to imagine a poor case, but I'll say this, Dana, it is going to be a real test for my GOP colleagues in Congress and their devotion to the institution. If we give away, if we surrender the power of the purse, which is our most important power, there will be little check and no balance left. It'll not be a separation of powers anymore, just a separation of parties. So this is going to be a moment of truth for my GOP colleagues.
Oh, it's going to be a moment of truth for everybody that lives in this country about whether the rule of law is still in place, whether the rule of law means anything, whether it carries any weight, whether or not a president can defy an explicit, denunciation from Congress on a spending issue. And because he doesn't get his way with Congress, can he then enable himself to take power away from Congress extra constitutionally? And that is what's going on here. This is the enabling act of the 21st century. There is no question in my mind. This is why we don't have a Secretary of Defense. The military, which is what the president would need if he was going to, and he's deploying the military on U.S. soil, obviously. And if the president needs the military to back up his coup or to back up his attack on the rule of law, well, then he needs somebody who doesn't understand the military. And we have exactly that. Right now we have a guy named Shanahan. Now, Mr. Shanahan, no defamatory statement about your prowess as a Boeing executive. I'm sure you're fabulous at whatever it is you did at Boeing. But he does not understand the American military. He doesn't understand readiness. He doesn't understand that readiness is jeopardized when your ceiling is falling down, when your baby's pacifier is being chewed on by a rodent, when radon is pouring into your living room, when asbestos is filling your lungs, or there's cancer clusters in the on-base housing. So what we have is an acting director of defense. In fact, the only person that isn't really acting, we got Bill Barr, who's also practicing extreme nepotism. His son-in-law, one of his daughter's husbands, has just gone to work in the White House advising the president on all things legal. And his eldest daughter has just taken a job with FinCEN, which is responsible for tracking laundered money, financial crimes, and you know that Bob Mueller is working with FinCEN to uncover money laundering a la the NRA or any other organization, including the Trump organization, including the Trump inaugural. So now she's been deployed to FinCEN and his son is in the White House. This is very sick. This is very sad. This is very creepy, I have to say. But we know that the president doesn't really believe there's an emergency on the southern border because all facts to the contrary. So rather than hash over the fact that there is a veto-proof majority in both the House and Senate that denied him his money for his stupid wall, that he had been previously offered $25 billion in border security if he would do something meaningful on DACA, and he turned that down too, that he signed 2 continuing resolutions to, fund the government while he was saying there was some national emergency, and that he funded the government for like 3 weeks at a time, twice, that he put us through a 35-day shutdown and then authorized a 3-week continuing resolution, which doesn't give off the emergency vibe. It doesn't say, oh, something's really wrong here. You've got the appropriators who have turned him down repeatedly, veto-proof majorities in both houses. You have no report, no analysis from any CBO, GSA, nothing. There's no congressional report. There's no General Services Administration report. There's no Congressional Budget Office. There's no reports at all that say anything about an emergency at the border. The Rose Garden press conference was a self-admission when he said, I don't need to do this. I just wanted to do it faster. I showed you that. As soon as he said it, I went, there is the kryptonite. That right there is the kryptonite. And I told you, I'm a highly functioning, high brain capacity, lucid person who doesn't do drugs. Okay? And I said to you that that was going to be kryptonite for him, and it is. And he was so bizarre. He was so strange. That was the strangest thing I'd ever seen in my life. And in fact, this thing where he gets all sing-songy and where he says, and then, we'll get legal challenges, and then it'll go to the Ninth Circuit, and then the Ninth Circuit will go to this. Oh, my God.
I'll sign the final papers as soon as I get into the Oval Office, and we will have a national emergency, and we will then be sued, and they will sue us in the Ninth Circuit, even though it shouldn't be there.
Oh, my God.
And we will possibly get a bad ruling, and then we'll get another bad ruling, and then we'll end up in the Supreme Court, and hopefully we'll get a fair shake, and we'll win in the Supreme Court. Just like the ban, they sued us in the Ninth Circuit, and we lost, and then we lost in the appellate division, and then we went to the Supreme Court, and we won.
No wonder they're talking about the 25th Amendment. The man is insane. I mean, people set it on fire this weekend on the internet. They put it to the Sting, the Sting song. I can't even, not my Sting. No, that's my Sting. Like Kiss, the movie with Robert Redford, that Sting.
Alec Baldwin was hilarious doing a parody of that on SNL this weekend.
I saw
it was
that.
Amazing, wasn't it?
It was really good. Except I don't understand why Alex doesn't understand that what Trump has going on there is a pie hole. The loop was round. He squishes it. It's got to be round. I guess it's hard to talk that way unless you're Trump. But people put it to the Sting. They put it to what was the other movie? Music Man. It's hysterical what they did because the man sounds insane, because he is unhinged. He's not normal. He's not right. And the reason why he declared a national emergency isn't because we have anything untoward or unique or different or, crisis-like happening at the border. He did it to take power from Congress and give it to himself. This is an enabling act, and that is why he turned down everything that he turned down, including the full Monty, the $25 billion, the whole enchilada was given to him. It was offered to him, the whole thing, in exchange for a path to citizenship for the dreamers. He turned it down, and then he pretends there's some emergency, but yet he signs the bill that says, we'll open the government for 3 weeks. He shuts down the government for 35 days, depriving us of border security during those 35 days because Border Patrol wasn't getting paid. Coast Guard got stiffed. I mean, this makes no sense, right? And that's because it's not about the border. It's about an enabling act. It's about the president taking the power of Congress away from Congress, and the elites in Congress are handing it to him on a silver platter, just like when they declared an emergency because the Reichstag was on fire. And they relinquished their power, and the Reichstag was the German Congress. They relinquished their power to Adolf, and they said, okay, we are giving you all the power. You do whatever you want. And it's always the military. It's always the military. It's always the military. And we don't have a Secretary of Defense. We have a Boeing executive. And today he's talking about firing Dan Coates. Now, like Dan Coates, don't like Dan Coates. I always thought it was a strange pick to be the director of national intelligence. But at least Dan Coates tells the truth when push comes to shove. And this president today is saying, I don't know if I like him. I think we might need to make a change. You know why? Because Vladimir Putin is his intelligence agency. Whatever Vlad says, I don't know what this man can be blackmailed with. I have no earthly idea. I don't know if it's Vlad knows where his money is, or Vlad protects his money, or I don't know what the deal is, and I won't know until somebody does a decent investigation and makes public the. But I mean, you can see it in plain sight. It's right in front of your freaking face.
You can see evidence in plain sight on the issue of collusion, pretty compelling evidence. Now, there's a difference between seeing evidence of collusion and being able to prove a criminal conspiracy beyond a reasonable doubt.
Oh, please.
But Chairman Burr must have a different word for it, because when you look, for example, at the emails to set up the meeting in Trump Tower, it was offered to the Trump campaign, to the president's own son, dirt on Hillary Clinton as part of what was described as the Russian government's effort to help Donald Trump in the campaign. And the response from the campaign was, we would love to have the help. Now, that's an offer of help. That's an acceptance of help. There's an overt act in the Trump Tower in furtherance of that. And, of course, that's not even contemplating the discussions with George Papadopoulos or the information about the efforts that Mike Flynn made to work with the Russian ambassador secretly to undermine sanctions and then lie about that. All of this is evidence of collusion.
Trump's campaign chairman, I would love to know if this was John Podesta, okay? If this was Hillary Clinton's campaign manager, or anybody, her deputy campaign manager, and her campaign manager, and her attorney general, and her director of national security, and the national security advisor were all pleading guilty to these crimes of collusion. These crimes, Paul Manafort pled guilty to conspiracy to defraud the United States. That is and this is like a RICO Act, man. It's all these corrupt people, organizing for corrupt purposes. It's a mafia. It's an absolute crime organization. Manafort. Mueller just recommended on Friday that Manafort serve 19 to 24 years in federal prison. 19 to 24 years. And everybody thinks, Manafort's going to die in jail. Manafort's going to die in jail. No, Manafort is going to get a pardon. I'll tell you what, because Manafort was not only sentenced to 19 to 24 years, which is, that's more years than he's likely to get from Mother Nature. Guy's 70 freaking years old. You saying he's going to live to 94? It's a better deal than he's going to get from fate. But they're also saying that he has to pay about $28 million in fines and restitution. And knowing these guys, that's the part that bothers them the most. Having to give up the cash. So you know he went for a pardon. You know he's going for a pardon. You know he pled guilty to conspiracy. These are traitors. These are traitors. Everybody's, like, can you call it treason? No, but you can say that they are a traitor to their nation. You could say that they sold their country out for a few petrodollars. Yes, you can say that. That happened. And now Mueller's interviewing Cambridge Analytica, the Mercer family. Oh, dear God. That is a company so corrupt it doesn't even exist anymore. It's a deep, deep dive into this Cambridge thing, but they have a second witness now. They have a second witness in the Cambridge Analytica thing that shows clearly that the intersection between the Brexit campaign, Donald Trump's campaign, and the Russians was Cambridge Analytica. And you got Roger Stone. They have new evidence from the raid, that heavy-handed raid, saying that he was in touch with Russian intelligence and WikiLeaks.
This is the Randi Rhodes Show. To speak with Randi, dial 561-270-3844. That's 561-270-3844.
Well, this is the first kind of emergency we've seen like this, that a president's done this. He couldn't get the Mexicans to build the wall. He couldn't get Congress to vote the money. And this is, in fact, the first emergency declaration like this with that kind of construct, where he got turned down by Congress and then went ahead and did it. That's why you see so many Republicans saying, don't do this. Republicans are afraid that he's going to take the money from somewhere else in something they care about. But fundamentally, they think it's a president who failed, who hates to lose, who's acting childish, and is violating the Constitution. Republican after Republican is telling us that privately. We will have a vote on this likely in the next 2 or 3 weeks. See if those Republicans show the backbone that they generally haven't shown standing up to this president in the past. But this is more serious because it's a constitutional question. So I take them at their word that they'll stand up to him.
Give me a break.
Seriously, Sherrod, I mean, I love you. I do. I think the world of you, and I love your gravelly voice and everything about you. But honestly, to see if they'll stand up, are you kidding me? This is the Enabling Act, and somebody needs to say it plainly, clearly, and loudly. They are demonizing those of us who believe in checks and balances. They are demonizing those of us who believe in little d democracy. They are demonizing those of us who believe that income inequality is like a third world here, that this, plutocratic autocracy, this oligarchy we got going on here, that Donald Trump is the natural next step in this oligarchy. I'm telling you, this was the plan all along. This is Grover Norquist saying we don't need anybody except somebody to hold a pen and sign what we put in front of him. We will never raise a tax. We will never make good on our promises to veterans or to children or to, military families, or, we'll never, we build planes. We don't take care of the This is just a natural result of that kind of American policy. We're looking like a third world nation because we're being governed by a banana. Seriously. A man with absolutely no soul, who's willing to do whatever it takes in order to give himself all of it. And by it, I mean power, money, longevity. He's not going to go. He's not going to go away. Today they're looking at North Carolina. They got witnesses that are telling the North Carolina Election Board that they stole the ballots, they threw them away. They did. Oh, well, we have to take more testimony. I mean, when you can't vote, because somebody literally comes and takes your ballot from your little hands and either fills it out for you the way that they would like to see it filled out, or throw it away, just throw it away, then it's a banana republic. You understand? This is right in your face. Banana republic. Scott in Los Angeles.
Randi Rhodes.
Scott in Los Angeles.
How are you?
All right.
So, have you, this sounds random, but it's not, because you were just talking about Lindsey Graham and how they're all caving because they're scared of getting attacked. Have you been watching the Leah Remini Scientology show?
No.
Oh, my God. Okay. It's a cult. Trump people are a cult. It's a cult. And
yeah, but isn't Scientology devised in order to get people to give their money to it?
Yes.
Well, this is not. This is to take power unto yourself for life. You know what I mean? For generations. This is something that's even worse than a cult that tries to get you to give your worldly possessions to it. This is somebody taking what little you already have and giving it to the rich who need none of it.
Talking about how, especially in Clearwater, Florida, maybe you've heard, but it's basically they've kind of taken over the city. And basically they have a tactic where if anybody, they prevent their followers from reading the news. You can't listen to the media. You only listen to them. Everyone's an enemy. You attack your enemy. And they will run people out. There was a mayor, the mayor of Clear, they ran him out of town. They bankrupt you. And it just reminded me when you're saying that these Republicans are so scared of being the next target because they don't want to be taken down for speaking out. And I just thought it's so culty, and it just reminded me of
very culty, but this is even worse than,
worse.
Listen, cults understand something that dictators also understand, and that is that media is not your friend because they're going to check your facts, and that in order to have total mind control, you need to, denigrate the media. You need to say it's not real. You need to have people live in an alternate reality, separate and apart from everybody else, and you need to separate families. If somebody, won't adhere, if somebody is difficult, you need to make an example of that person, and you need to take their children away. And we're there. I mean, we are there. Now, churches are notorious, and cult leaders are notorious for mind control. There's just no question about it. But this is governmental, and this is institutionalized within all of our institutions, from the intelligence community to the Department of Justice that makes sure that the laws are faithfully executed, to the awesome powers of the military. I mean, can you imagine if this cult that you're talking about had the power of the military?
The government. Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy. You look at Jim Jones, okay, and you look at what happened in Guyana, and that a congressman, I think Jackie Speer was his, office, was his legislative assistant, and you had a congressman who went to Guyana to see what was going on there, and as soon as he landed, they shot him on the tarmac, and Jackie Speer, who's a current congressman, she was there, and she saw the whole thing, okay? So when you have a cult that is, using arms or military, the same thing with David Koresh, to where he burned the whole place down. That's when it gets to, the point where people have to say, this is extrajudicial, this is outside the law. And when a president does it, oh my God, it's the scariest thing. This country is about to go through something. Horrible. I'm telling you.
The McCabe interview was horrifying.
Something awful is about to happen, and people people who think they don't have a lot to lose are about to lose the little that they have, and then they'll be, why didn't I see it coming? Why didn't I? But this is sad.
They didn't listen to Randi Rhodes.
Well, that's part of it. Because I'm not here to serve any master but us. I mean, that's it. The people that support this show are the people that I serve. There's no corporate money here, and there's no political money here. I just refuse. And it gives me the freedom to tell you that Big Pharma got everybody addicted, and that little by little, the Grover Norquists and the Newt Gingriches had a contract on America. And the contract said that the rich should have it all, and that all the power should rest with one man. It's easier to control. It's easier to deal with. And that man has to be, he has to have a cult. He has to have the cult of personality. He has to be able to stand there without any empathy, no compassion, and say, everything that you see, everything that you hear is fake. Only I am real. Yeah. Only I can fix it. I am the light. I am the way.
Sick.
It's very sick, and it's scary, and it's dangerous. And we're about to go through something. I know it. I just, how could we not? Either the rule of law is going to win the day, and this man is going to get frog marched out of the White House because, let's say Mueller decides, oh, you can't indict a sitting president. Well, SDNY, which they call the Sovereign District of New York, because they're such a powerful prosecutor's office that maybe they say, you know what, we get it, Robert Mueller, you're old school, you believe in the Office of Legal Counsel's opinion. Well, we don't. We want to test this once and for all. We're indicting the damn president. That's the only thing that'll save us.
People say a president can't. I said, no, it doesn't.
We've never tried it.
It's just never gotten there.
Exactly. We've never gotten this far to the edge. We've never had a president this dirty. We've never had a president this much of a dictator. I mean, we had people, twist and turn and cherry pick intelligence. We've been taken to, stupid wars, all for the benefit of, the elite of the world. And reshaping this planet in the image of the, uber rich, the Sultan of Brunei, or the arms dealer Khashoggi, or the Saudi royal family. They're Sunni, and the Shia in Iran have got to go. We've done this stuff. It gets us nowhere, people. It gets us nowhere. It just drains us dry, and it kills our children, and it maims the brains of those who have to fight these dirty wars, and we will never take care of them, ever. That's why I said I'm so glad to know the military hasn't changed in 40 years. The Vietnam vets came back, we let them be homeless. The Iraqi vets came back, they're homeless. The Afghan vets come back, they're homeless. Nothing ever changes with regard to, except now he's literally winning their hearts and minds, and he's going to get the military to fight for him. It's frightening. So you imagine whatever you're watching. What's her name? Leah Remini?
Yeah, she got a little bit of Randy in her. She's feisty.
Okay, so you listen to what she's telling you about being involved in a situation where it's cult-like, and they want your money, and they want your family, and they don't want you to know anything, and add the military to it.
Yeah.
Hello.
Goodbye.
Yeah, I know. Casey in Portland.
Oh, this is Kathy.
Oh, Kathy. Hi, Kathy.
Yeah. Hi. How you doing?
Good.
I'm going to talk fast. I don't want to get into things because I get crazy. This guy is not. We're in deep shit. Okay.
I don't know. I don't know how much it's going to take for people to understand.
They're desperate. These people are desperate. It's going to get worse before it gets better. I got to say this really quick. You ask for money, I send you money. I can't afford it, though.
Oh,
I ordered what I thought was a hat, but I got a beautiful T-shirt instead.
Oh, no.
And I said to myself, how can I help? I can't afford to send you all this money. I live on Social Security. What I did was I increased my $7.99 a month to $12. So you're getting a little extra every month, so it adds up. And I thought it might be a good idea for some of the other people. Oh, thank you. Thank you for the applause.
Oh,
but
please. You know what? Can I just tell you something, Kathy? Can I just tell you something? Don't send me your money. Don't do it. There are people in this audience, because you're on a fixed income, because you live, my mom's on a fixed income.
I could do $12 a month. Is
you
that
know
all
what?
right?
I would rather you take the $12 and save it for you. God forbid, something happens, you need to fix your car. I don't know. I don't really. This is some people cannot come out of pocket, and that's fine.
But listen what I did. I can afford $12 a month.
Oh.
I got rid of BritBox.
Oh my God. Is that what you were doing?
Yeah, I don't watch it anyway. I got it because I like the British sitcoms and all that.
Okay.
But I never go there.
Yeah.
Let's get rid of this. I give you the money.
Oh.
I'd rather you have it. Anyway, I think you're great.
Thanks.
It is so important that
you're great.
that this continues, and I love you.
I love you.
I just love you.
I love your generosity. I love your spirit. Thank you. You're a wonderful person.
We're going to fight this together. We're going to win.
Hey, man.
It's going to be hard.
I hope so.
But we're going to beat the shit out of them.
Let me tell you something.
I believe with all my heart and soul that love will win, and we're on the side of love. We're going to beat this. I got to think this way, or else, I don't know what I'll do.
Well, I'm on
you got to have hope.
I'm on the side of justice. I think that without justice,
love and justice.
There's no
That's
freedom.
it.
There's no freedom, and without freedom, there's
absolutely
nothing.
right.
There's absolutely
There's
nothing. And once the arc of justice bends toward the dictator, the oligarch, the plutocrat,
we're pushing it.
Yeah,
we got to keep pushing.
We're right on the edge. Thank you, honey. Thank you so much. Now, listen, for those of you who aren't on a fixed income, could you relieve her? Could you give her some relief? I mean, this woman, I honestly, you think I don't appreciate that there are people in this audience that can't, that are just making it, that are living on my mom lives on a fixed income. Well, if I didn't help my mother, don't give me the money. There are people in this audience who can give me, who can support this show. I will tell you this right now. I just bought this piece of equipment hoping that this new situation that I'm dabbling in actually comes to fruition, and I put it this way. I told you that piece of equipment was like super expensive. I just paid it, okay? The check is in my purse. I have to put it in the mail. It's $23,000. That's just for the piece of equipment. And then there's engineering because Roy has to come.
Roy
has to come. And there's engineer, and then there's all the cables, and then there's the controller, and then there's the customer support. You know what they charge for customer support on these fancy dancy things? You wouldn't believe this. You buy a new piece of equipment, okay? And it's an elite piece of equipment. And it's different from the schlock that you've been using. So now you need customer support because it's going to have a lot of functions on it that you haven't had before. You know what the customer support costs? If you want to talk to a person, $2,999 a year. Just for the support. But I'm doing it. I'm plowing ahead. I don't even know if this is going to work or not, but I'm doing it. I'm definitely doing it. Now, I only paid myself $2,000 a month so I could make this business debt-free, independent, and first class. And it's been 2 years, and I'm investing in it. And we're probably not going to get any tax return this year because we can't qualify to be pass-through. Only lawyers and real estate people. Entertainers, absolutely not. Oh, and speaking of entertainers, I don't even want to bring this up at the end of the show, but what is going on with Jussie Smollett? What is that story? Maybe tomorrow we'll have more information because it's a wait-and-see kind of a story. I don't know what the hell is going on.
And it changes every day.
Every day. Now he's got a criminal attorney who's saying he didn't hire. Wow. Tomorrow. Buy a stinking podcast.
What more is there?
What more is there? What?
You said it changes every day. I mean,
the Smollett story?
Yeah, what's the latest?
The latest?
He hired a criminal attorney who put out a statement